Hi, I'm Chris Mahoney, and today I'm going to talk about African American health issues in the United States. This talk will fulfill the diversity attribute of the course and will focus on a few main points. I'm going to talk about four things today. I'm going to tell you about the demographics of the African American culture and race on both a national and a local Buffalo level. I'm going to discuss the health issues of African Americans, mainly the top 10 health issues, and then go into detail over the top three, give you some background knowledge over those top three. I'm going to continue to discuss trends in health for African Americans, historical as well as future projections, where the health is going with the future of America. Lastly, I'm going to talk about resolutions to the problem. What actions can be taken to address this issue, and what's already being done in our country and locally to help change this epidemic. Demographics. African Americans make up 13.6% of the total population of the United States of America. This equates to nearly 46 million people. By 2060, this number is expected to balloon to 78 million people. The majority of people who are African American live in the South. However, this is changing as the population grows and spreads. Locally, Buffalo is home to approximately 100,000 African American people. Many of these people live in the city of Buffalo, but more and more are moving to the suburbs as their population grows and as they come and get educated and get better jobs. Sadly, Buffalo is ranked the 8th most segregated city in America because our trends of African Americans moving to the suburbs is very slim. In Buffalo, 15% of the African Americans living here are over 65 years old, equating to a population between 15 and 20,000 people. If you look at the poverty levels of African Americans, you can see that by race it's very high, among the highest actually. Whites account for 13% of those in poverty. Black or African American accounts for 35% of those in poverty, while Hispanics account for 33% of those in poverty. This is a very troubling statistic leading up to the rest of the presentation because you can see that African Americans really don't have the access to funds and economic fundability to get access to healthcare and address these issues. Furthermore, looking at unemployment by race, you can see African Americans' unemployment rate is almost double that of whites. Another very depressing and sad, dismal outlook for African Americans thus far. Continuing on, the top 10 health issues facing African Americans today, as you can see, are heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, unintentional injury, nephritis or kidney disease, chronic lower respiratory illness, homicide, septicemia, and Alzheimer's disease. As you can see from this list, only one of those diseases deals with the brain, and that would be Alzheimer's disease. The rest, heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes, deal more with the physical body. Heart disease, cancer, and stroke are the three leading causes of death among African Americans today, far outweighing the deaths by whites in these same categories. Heart disease is the leading cause of death among African Americans. Annually, among all races, there are 600,000 deaths due to heart disease, or approximately 1 in 4. This number continues to grow as health rates decline as obesity rises. Almost 25% of African American deaths are attributed to heart disease. One of the leading indicators for this disease and factors is its early development, and late addressing of the problem. Many people do not seek care and cannot seek care because they don't have access to quality care due to unemployment, low wages, etc. The highest rates occur in the southern USA, which happen to be where the largest rates of obesity occur as well. Obesity and physical activity are major causes. Obesity and physical inactivity lead to things like hypertension, which in turn lead to coronary heart disease. Moving on to cancer. Cancer, among African Americans, they have the highest mortality rate for the top 4 cancers. Per 100,000 people, there are approximately 627 incidences of cancer in African Americans. Among those, the top 2 include prostate, with 236 cases on average, followed by lung cancer with 100 cases on average. Prostate cancer is extremely deadly to African Americans. While survival rates for whites and Caucasians continue to increase, African Americans are still stuck and are likely to die by 2.4 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than any other race. Among all other cancers, including lung cancer, African Americans have a dismal 5-year survival rate, well below that of any other race. Stroke. African Americans are 2 times as likely to have a stroke as any other race in the country. They are also more likely to die from stroke. There are over 130,000 deaths from strokes each year. As you can see, about a quarter to a fifth less than heart disease, but still a very large chunk of the of all deaths. The highest incidence, again, occurs in the southeastern United States, where obesity and inactivity are very high. Trends. Excuse me for that error. Trends. Current trends, 14% of African Americans are in fair or poor health. Nearly 25% are smokers. 38% are obese, and another 38% have hypertension. It's not surprising to see hypertension and obesity among the same rate, since each can be a leading cause of the other. By 2030, if the current trends continue, obesity will lead to 6 million new cases of hypertension among all races, and 5 million new cases of heart disease. The problem is, as you've seen so far, African Americans have an abnormally high rate of such diseases. Therefore, their health has a very dismal outlook. Among African Americans, we can expect a 10% increase in hypertension, stroke, and heart disease. So the top 3 leading causes of death will likely continue for African Americans. Resolutions. What can be done to stop this epidemic of health? The main thing that can be done is improve social environments, improve quality to care, and improve affordability of care. A few of these things have been addressed lately, especially with Obamacare and the changing healthcare environment. The biggest thing is economic independence for African Americans, as seen by the outlook of jobs and unemployment. Our unemployment is very high. In order to make African Americans able to afford care, they need to be employed. Obamacare deals with improving the quality and access and affordability of care. Obamacare seeks to get treatment to anyone who needs it, and preventative care as well. This could be a positive thing for African Americans, but on the contrary, could be a very big draw on our economy and could slow our growth. Locally, Buffalo has treatment centers and educational centers available to African Americans, and anyone for that matter, seeking to gain treatment or knowledge of diseases. Things such as Planned Parenthood and mobile clinics offer testing for STDs and HIV, hoping to curb such infections, which could lead to other diseases as well. As you can see, there are major gaps remaining between African Americans and other races. Limitations to quality care and access to quality care hinder the ability for African Americans to improve their health. Cultural differences and ethnic differences definitely have an impact on African American health. As seen by the presentation, you could see that the majority of African Americans with these health issues live in the southeastern United States, clearly pointing to some sort of cultural difference in the food and the way of what is the norm. The future is very uncertain. However, one thing is certain. Obesity needs to be addressed and changed. The rates of obesity and hypertension that are coming out and are continuing to climb really are detrimentally affecting African Americans. Worse yet, cancer rates are among the highest of any ethnic group in African Americans. Something needs to be done to address this and to improve the quality of care, education, and the livelihood and overall quality of life for African Americans. Thank you.